guys. Guys, come on, man.
My bad.
Let's go. No, we're good. We're good. This is live. We are rolling. Season 1, episode 4.
Started. It is.
There it is.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Four Horsemen of Sales. This episode is sponsored by Meet the Curator. What are you doing? I did forget my train of thought. Meet the Curator, and I'll tell you a little bit.
Meet the what?
Meet the Curator.
Like,
Malcolm, say it again.
Meet the Curator.
Good job.
There
He's
you
like,
go.
meet the creator.
Rocking
No,
the
you
shirt,
don't want
man.
that. You don't want the meet the creator.
One day.
Meet
One
the
day.
Curator aims to inspire and empower human beings to trust the vision they have of life they want to live, design the blueprint necessary to achieve that life, and take the very personal steps towards their real destiny. And so, Get That Dough is a sub-brand. It's the mantra for anyone who sees the vision for their happiness and does everything in their power. And Get That Dough, DOE, stands for discipline over everything. It started by my guy, Kevin. I grew up with Kevin when I used to ball in Thomas Jefferson Middle School here in Arlington. And I'll be honest, I used to whoop his ass as well.
Wow.
But no, real talk? No.
Shout out to Kevin.
Yo, Kevin's my guy.
Sponsor, man.
Once again, shout out to
Sponsor.
Kevin.
Once again, Yanni's on ones.
100. No, I'll tell you a specific story.
He's going in on it.
No. One specific story. I came in. This is my first time, I think, at Thomas Jefferson TJ.
Yeah.
I came in and this was years ago. This is when I was in
one of the
middle
best places
school.
for pickup.
Yeah, pickup ball. He lit my ass. Like I had older guys like, yo, can you guard him? And I got mad. But we formed that relationship through that because we started working out together and really good guys. So again,
So he was getting buckets.
no, he got no, not on my team.
But not on you.
No, he
On
was
your
on
team.
me. No,
Buckets on you.
he lit me up. Like I was guarding him, and he just lit me up.
He was a lot
And
more
then,
skilled than you were.
At that point,
Skills.
yeah, and that's a good transition.
Yeah.
He was definitely skilled, but hey, let's give a shout out. Hey, shout
I'm
out to the
figuring it out.
Yeah.
Episode topic of the day.
Boom.
Meet
What
the
is
Curator. They're our sponsor. Meet the
That's
Curator.
right.
It's
There
the
it
name
is.
brand. Hey, check them out at Meet the Curator 1984 on Instagram. MeetTheCurator.com on website and whatnot. But great clothing line, hoodies, shirts, all that kind. You know, you got a shirt right there. Meet the Curator. I love it. Again, you're curating your own life, so it's everything that we stand for. So, guys. Alam, that was a good transition. Yeah. Today we are going to be talking about the third part of my mantra, which is transforming individuals to be resilient. We talked about resilience, being motivated, and now skilled. All right. So, if you've noticed, Alam, all our episodes, he does a lot of a lot. And then what does Malcolm say?
Right.
We haven't figured out. What do I say?
You just whatever comes to mind.
Hey, Malcolm, please give us the quote of the episode.
Quote it? Yes, I love it.
Guys, how about we set the tone for this episode? So we're obviously talking about being skilled, right? Oh, you guys missed it, man. There was a right.
Oh, right.
That's right.
All right, so here it is. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that was said by Socrates.
Socrates.
I had to go a little philosophical.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Of course. Anything from Claudia. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And when a lot of quotes out there, obviously that could have fit into this mantra and this topic, but building a skill set is really about growth, right? And it'll go into what each of us feel that, being skilled or what skills or having a skill set means. But, Tony Robbins said something.
Another quote?
No, this is not a quote. This is not a quote. This is not a quote.
Okay.
This is not a quote.
Tony said?
But it'll help you put some perspective or light or these guys, man.
It's okay.
All
right, say it.
Sorry.
Tony, go to Tony.
It'll put some perspective and light on what we're doing, what this topic is about. And they said, hey, if you want happiness, he was asked, if you want happiness, right, how does one achieve happiness? And Tony Robbins' response was just one word. He said, progress. right? And so if you're not, if you're not growing, right? If you're not building, that I'd probably say it has a lot to do with your level of happiness. But y'all transition back to you.
I love it. So skill, that's what we're talking about today. So again, each mantra, resilient, motivated, and skilled. We talked about what the actual definition, if you looked it up. So skilled, having or showing the knowledge, ability, or training to perform a certain activity or task well, requiring special abilities or training. That is the definition. So, fellas, horsemen, what is being skilled or skill mean to you? Like when you think of somebody that's skilled, what is that? How does that relate to you? Alan, I'll start with you. Is that okay?
Yeah. Sure.
There you go.
Claudio enjoying this.
Yeah, Claudio.
So light it up.
What does being skilled mean to you?
Hey, for me, I'll put it this way. I used to think, we hear this thing, always work on your area of opportunities, right? So everybody has different strengths. Everybody has different quote unquote weaknesses. And people growing up used to tell me, hey, focus on your area of opportunities because that which you're good at is going to come to you naturally. On the other side, skill to me means when you know what you're good at, whatever that thing is, hey, you literally do everything you can to try to master it, right? Rather being able to be a good communicator, being able to be a good listener, whatever that skill is, right? You look at a plumber, you look at a person that's a mechanic, all they do all day, every day, right, is focus on that. Hence why they get paid all the big dollars, right? So when you think about that aspect of it, for me, skilled is being able to take that one thing, that two thing, whatever that amount of stuff you're gifted with, and really and truly honing in on it, right? And really giving it everything that you got. Now, hey, it's not to say that you don't work on those things that are somewhat your area of opportunities. It's not to say that at all. But if you have 12 hours a day to work on something, right? Let it be your strengths. Let it be that thing that you're really truly good at. For me, that's what it means. When I talk about skilled, when I think about that, it's truly being able to focus on that and give it everything I got. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Man, anytime you talk about somebody being skilled, the people that comes to mind, or it has to be like the ultra successful, the ones that are probably dedicated all the time, energy, resources into building whatever talent that they have or skill. It's said that one can naturally have certain talents, right? And it speaks to what is your, everybody has strengths and everybody has weaknesses. I believe skill is that one thing that can be measured, and you can actually, you can go, like sales, let's just talk about it. If we talk about sales, I believe that through strategy, through consistent training, one can build that skill set. And it's said, it's crazy, but some of the most successful salespeople are actually introverts. It's not the loudest, or it's not the person that goes in a room in a setting. If you're out, it's not the person that just has the ability to talk to everyone. That's different. That has nothing to do with whether they're the best, they're the best salesperson. Skill, like you can actually build and measure skill, right? And to your point, it takes consistent training, but being skilled to me just means one that's committed to developing one trait or one aspect of, or one focus in their personal or in their professional career.
Yeah. Claude?
Yeah, to piggyback off of what both of y'all said, skilled can be taken in a lot of contexts, especially like in business. There's different aspects, and once you reach different levels, your skills, of course, are going to progress and advance. But if you really think about it, skilled is being able to be adaptable. You get what I mean? So a lot of the times, you may be faced with a challenge that at this level you're at, without getting really super specific, but when you move to B2B channel, all of a sudden prospecting is more important. Whereas somebody in the retail channel waiting for customers to come in, that's not even an issue. You get what I mean? They don't have to worry about that. So that's another skill that you have to build in. A lot of the times, depending on what level of retail or different size, once you do the sales, done. You know what I mean? You're good, whatever. But the skilled ones have the follow-up. They have the consistency to stay, build that relationship. So it's not necessarily you becoming the salesman. You're actually the advisor, the trusted one when it comes to those kind of situations that come back to you. And that's where those skills that you've worked on and built on and adapted throughout the time gives you the right to become the expert and gives you that time to build the skill. So
for me, being skilled in what I see, again, everybody has different perspectives, is whatever industry, whether you're in actual sales, like I said, corporate, is knowing everything about your product and the process. And so, like, whoever you're gonna face, if it's anything about your actual, product or the process of, selling a home, or like, what's going on in the market now, like, being skilled is understanding that, having that, and making sure that you're up to date on all that information, and being able to, when it comes to sales as well, being able to handle objections with, again, as we know, objections, there's always underlying emotion or things that's tied to it. So understanding and being able to ask the right questions is just basically, if simply put, knowing all your shit. That's basically it. Like that's what, like, somebody that knows. Like, you go in there because ultimately when you do that, then you are, in essence, you're basically you can handle any objection, you can handle any question. You're that part of it. It's already handled. Like, anybody comes at you with an objection about, well, I don't want to, in my case, I don't want to sell now because, it's not a good time for sellers. Well, but, you got the other side of, well, it's actually a great time because, buyers are out there, interest rates are low. Just knowing your shit, like knowing factual information, that's what I see as somebody, when I think of somebody that's skilled, or when I think of that term, is just knowing everything about your industry, about your product. And then, again, when I say, I'm not talking about just specifically for sales industries as well, corporate, whatever case, knowing everything you have to know about your department, all that. So that's what I see as skill.
The only thing I would add to that is the third piece, because you said, hey, knowing everything about the product and the process. I would definitely add people.
The people, yes, okay, yeah.
You tie that in.
Exactly,
and,
knowing who you're sitting in front of.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I've learned throughout my career is, hey, regardless of what product you're selling, you're in the people business, right? And like, what makes the most successful individuals are the ones that can really connect with people, and because at the end of the day, I think a lot of the products, a lot of the processes can be competitive, can be shopped, and part of being skilled, right? We're talking about is development. And so when you guys are, as you guys are listening to this and watching this, a big thing you want to look at is, hey, how could I personally develop before I look at developing my skill set in whatever product I'm selling or whatever product I'm representing, and along with the process. I think that's, and I'm saying this because I think that's one of the things that is underestimated. Most people don't realize that if you become better, like, when you change is when things around you change, right? And so this personal development has to do with you being better, you being more skilled in the development of your actual personality. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I mean, ultimately, it's whether, like, we've all kind of been in that, whether it be in our industry or in sports and whatnot. The more skill that you get, like, things are going to change in your environment, in the sense of, when I put in the work of becoming a better basketball player, when I put in that, the things around me change, in the sense of I either got more playing time and this and that, and it's the same thing as well. But let's talk about, because again, let's relate this into what we've experienced. What's a time in your life where the having a skill set or the lack of having a skill set has helped or hurt you?
Yeah, I'll take that. So when we talk,
quick.
yeah,
Ready.
I'm ready for you.
He's not playing today.
I'm ready to play today, right? So, hey, you know, when I think about this, actually, one of our producers, she actually brought this point up to me, and it's a really good one. When you think about your talent, right? Most people believe that talent is something that you're given, you're born with, if you will, right? You look at, all of us can arguably agree, right, that LeBron James is a very talented athletically, right? He's gifted.
He's a freak of nature.
He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
Now let's assume for a second.
He's a freak of nature.
He
He's
is.
not Kobe. He's not Kobe.
He used to hate on him.
No, I know he.
I used to hate on him because you guys used to compare him to Kobe, which I did not think there was any comparison.
Stop. Just real quick.
Let's not go
Just
that
you're going
far.
sideways with
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's take his innate talent that he received.
His God-given talent.
His God-given talent, right? And had he not worked and developed that skill, where would he be today? Right?
Probably.
Think about it. He'll be a nobody. Right?
Probably
He'll be a
play
nobody.
football.
Not maybe, right?
But you still have to work on his craft.
Right,
Yeah,
but he has
yes.
to develop that. He has to develop his talent, right, in order to get him to where he is today.
Yes.
And he is hands down. He's, you can look at the stats on this. This man
Whoa.
is dedicated.
Okay.
Is dedicated, right? He's spending over $1 million a year on his body, right, to get it to where he is today. That's the dedication that he has to develop his talent that he has, which is a skill of his, right? For him to be able to truly go out there, give it everything that he has, right, and really invest in himself and invest in his innate given talent, right? Hey, that's the kind of dedication that we're talking about. Now, bring it down to our world, right? So when we talk about your question in regards, hey, what does that mean to you? Hey, something that I believe for me personally, that I feel like is a talent of mine that I'm developing and continuing to grow, is being able to connect with people, right, on more ways than others. For me, that ability to connect and really, truly have someone understand that I understand them is something that I feel like was a talent that was given to me. However, I developed it over the course of time, and I focus on that. We talk about process, we talk about this, that, and the other. Those are all important. But if you don't focus on the foundation, right, which is connecting with people, I think that all of that goes out of the wayside. I can give you a manual and tell you follow this process, but if it doesn't have any content behind it, it doesn't have any, if you will, meat behind it, then what?
So can I interject?
Yeah.
So let's get deeper. So with getting skilled, you have to get deeper. So a lot of the times with connecting, right, everybody says, ask questions. Oh, ask questions. There's going to be a point you can ask dumb questions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can.
If you know the answer, like, there's certain things that
You can ask?
Yeah,
can.
you can. Because what I mean by that is, like, let's say you spent the time to finally get in the room with somebody important, a decision maker, right? And then you ask them, well, how many customers you see a day? Or if you ask them a question like, how many customers you see over a year? And it's on their website saying, like, hey, 46 million customers a year, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's something that just shows you didn't do your research. You don't know anything about that. So what skill does, it gives you a chance to ask the real skilled ones. They're asking impactful questions,
Absolutely.
not just questions.
Correct.
Just impactful questions.
Correct.
Now, there's things that you have to differentiate yourself from other sales reps. Simple. And at the end of the day, you earn the right to ask those questions because you bring that knowledge and you've worked on your craft. You've done the research ahead of time, and you have a game plan
You're not
ahead.
doing like rookie mistake. That's a dumb.
Yeah,
that's a good point, right?
So that's what I mean. So a lot of times people say just connect. Yeah, you can connect, but that doesn't lead to certain outcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, with sales, it's results. All of us know that it's results. So if when it comes to results, you do have to connect, yes, but that's just the simple surface level. You got to get deeper. You got to be able to earn that right to ask those impactful, inspiring questions that leads to more conversation and more like, hey, they're listening.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about in the beginning. I'm talking about afterwards too.
To add to that, though, none of that would be as impactful if you don't have a meaningful connection.
Correct.
Does that make sense, right? So if Claudio walks into a meeting to meet the decision maker on something, if he doesn't have that rapport, that connection that says, let me hear out Claudio, right? You can have all the best questions in the world. It may not be as lingering as it would had Claudio made the meaningful connection.
So how do you build rapport?
There you go. How do you build rapport?
I was going to say, because you answered the question I was going to ask him, because he said, hey, one of the skill sets that he's developed was, hey, connecting, and you said the second thing that we were just talking about. Not asking, well, you said connecting.
And asking impactful questions.
Well, I was going to ask, hey, what's one of the ways that will help you connect, right? Or what is one of the things that has helped you?
An impactful question.
Yeah. So those are the
Well,
things
I think
that.
for you, I think what I got out of what you just said. Sorry, real quick.
You're good.
So for you is like you knowing your shit before you go into a meeting.
Right.
Right.
That's one aspect.
That's one aspect.
You got to be
One huge
prepared.
aspect
That's
of it.
That's one aspect of being skilled.
That's an example of being skilled.
That's being an example.
But like your event, like in your situation, what you described, you necessarily won't have an in-depth relationship with that person.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they don't want to be your friend. They don't.
Yeah.
So they got their own friends. They got their own kids. You could talk about the family. Yeah, you could start that. That's not a bad thing to do. I'm not saying don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you're talking to businesses, they want to know what you could do for them and their customers.
Yeah, so it would be
get what I
different.
mean?
It would be
But
different.
you still got to build the connection. You still got to build the rapport.
Yeah.
And in order to build that, you gotta when I say respond back with inspiring questions, it's off of what they already said to you, off of their response. You get what I mean? Because it shows you're actively listening. You get what I mean? And then it shows that you care.
We'll talk about this more in depth a little bit later, but so somebody like somebody that he's gonna meet with.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you create a in-depth relationship before you meet with them?
Well, that's a good one.
So we'll talk about that in advice and recommendations.
I got you.
You know what I mean? But because that's something that a lot of people would want to know as well. Before you get to somebody, how do you even maybe create that that relationship or have some sort of
you only get one shot.
Or maybe leverage the information the research that you already done.
Let's not get it wrong. When I say ask a dumb question, I don't mean it like that was. I was just giving an example.
No, what you give an example was a dumb question.
You have to. You could set things up in a way that's leading, okay? But today's world, traditional sales and modern sales, people are smart now. They know what's going on. They know why you asked that question.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of the times, if you go with that traditional style, your outcome is not going to be as profitable as incorporating modern and some of the traditional. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good topic.
And that's another topic we can incorporate with social selling and traditional selling because
That's a good one.
today's world, we're millennials. Hate to say it, but we are. You know what I mean? We are on our phones, doing different things. But there's a generation CEOs, different people that are not as savvy with us, and they have advisors and different people on their team.
Yep,
and
that helps them make decisions. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's a
So
great point.
those are all good points. Is there any specific moments that you would think? And I'll be honest. So I'll give a first example, but specific moments in your life where the either having the skill set or the lack of skill set helped or hurt you, right? So, as you know, I'm in real estate. So part of it takes a lot more skill set to be what we call a listing agent, meaning when somebody wants to sell their house.
Say that again. Listing agent.
Listing agent, yeah.
Gotcha.
Listing. What does it sound like?
Sound
Sound like listening. Yeah.
Listening agent.
Sound like you said
Sorry.
listing.
List agent.
List agent.
Listing.
Listing.
Listing agent.
Meaning that person that you see that has their sign in front of the yard of somebody that wants to sell their house. So the person that's representing the seller of a home.
Got it.
So when somebody wants to sell their home, they usually interview one, two, three agents, and to see who's gonna normally either have the best marketing process, have the best, nowadays with commissions and whatnot. So when you go for that, that's more of the one-on-one sit down and you're talking, right? So when I started, I was gung-ho. I was like, I had everything, and this is why these are three are so important. Being resilient, motivated. I was resilient and motivated. Nothing was going to get in my way. I was motivated, but I was lacking in skill. And I remember one time they just said, they asked me while we were sitting there. They said, oh yeah, what's the average date on the market in this neighborhood? And I just was like, shit.
Yes.
I was like, oh, fuck. I said, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, and you could just tell, you know, when normally, it doesn't matter how much of a, you know, like, you can, you know, BS anything, like, you can tell when you don't know the answer, you know? Having that knowledge, being skill set in that, like, I can tell that's where I lost the deal. I didn't get that listening. And like, being an expert. Yeah, like being an expert in, like, whatever your product is, the process, the area, I didn't know that. And so, and I knew, I said, if it came down, because up till then I thought I was doing a good job. If it came down to, you know, once I got back to the office, I was like, man, I said, if it comes down to them not choosing me, it would be because of, like, that moment where I did not know. So it was a lack of
question.
So what happened after that?
What happened in terms of for me?
Yeah.
It's me. So that for me, then I knew, like, when I go into a meeting, like, I better know all my stats. I better know everything that needs to know in that neighborhood, in that zip, in that community. Like, I just gotta know my shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that's, I break it down simply as that. But, like, you gotta know when somebody spits out a question, you're not gonna be surprised. You're deer in the headlights. Like, I literally had that face, and I knew they knew. I knew they knew. It got awkward. You know that awkward thing? That awkward? I'm like, damn. Like, let's just, you know, I don't even know what I did. I can't remember. Yeah, it was like, yeah, time out. Let me go back to the office. Let me look back.
Yeah.
So it was that. That's the thing. And like when you look back at it, that moment. Let's say that listing. I think it was like, to be honest with you, it was like a house that was going to be listed at like $475. We're looking at like a 3% commission on that. That's less like a $13,000 commission. You know? So, like, imagine those things. When you're skilled, you know, like, those are opportunities that you get. Like, you know what I mean? That's an expensive lesson. That's an expensive lesson. And so, and if I had known that lesson before, I was $13,000 more profitable.
Yep.
You know? So so anything that you could think of, and again, like, it doesn't, you know.
I mean, just to branch off of, you know, success or whatever realm of the business world you're going into, you're always looking to advance yourself or promote yourself or whatnot.
Absolutely.
But negotiating was one that I lacked skill on. Just being real. You know, I'm just gung-ho, excited, ready to go after it when I could have negotiated a better deal for myself.
Yeah.
You know, moving forward, you know. And one of the things, you know, you learn from other people. And
This is salary?
Salary.
So this is big with corporate as well, right?
Yeah, corporate world. Like, if you're working with your salary, your end of year review.
Most people don't think that that's negotiable.
Yeah, end of year review, different things like that.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can ask for, or where you build enough credibility and value that you earn the right to ask for it. You know what I mean? And to me, coming from my background, I wasn't skilled enough at certain levels to ask for that. And as you go, you're like, you start, you know, talking and learning, and you're like, oh,
how much money?
Yeah, and then so you start negotiating and working on everything, you know. I remember way back in the Verizon day, I had a customer of mine at the end of the day. They say, hey, this is America. Everything's negotiable. And that's simple.
That was a customer.
That was a customer. And this is a set price on a phone at that time when I was like 19. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? He was like, everything American negotiable. How much you gonna give me that phone for? And I was like,
that's like olive, man. Yeah. How much you gonna give me that salmon for?
Wow.
Hey.
But that's real. I mean, that's an experience. But I mean, yeah. Hey,
how much did you pay for that hairline thing?
I am losing hair.
Was that negotiable?
When I went to the bathroom the other day, I was like, this, damn.
Yeah.
Hey, how many commercials you seen on that? Seriously.
I have Keeps.
Shout out to Keeps.
Hey, did the commercial get you? Don't lie. They pops up. They
not only
to you.
everything, bro. His Instagram, his Facebook, because everything was asking him.
I was on a podcast, right? I was a guest appearance on podcast.
Bro, yeah.
Right? So, like, and I was looking down like this. And, like, I swear to God, there was the light.
How did you look down?
I was like this.
He was just like looking at his nose.
No, it's working. I had it, so it's probably
working now. Let's do it before
I swear
and
to God,
after.
I was like, oh my goodness. As soon as I saw that clip,
That's
I saw.
why you had that a shape up.
That's why he hasn't shaved it down yet, bro.
My barber went to Ethiopia.
Oh, really? Really?
I swear to God.
You could have seen Yosef. Shout out to Yosef. That's my barber.
He went to Ethiopia.
I top barbershop.
Come on.
Yeah, he's gonna call me now. What's going on?
I'm
Joseph's
saying,
gonna call me
dude.
now.
I'm saying.
But anyways, yeah,
Let's
so
get
good.
it back.
How did we even get to this topic?
So
Because you went
back
in on
to
me
the
on
associated.
shit. Whatever, go back.
You pick your thing, like what
No,
you
but
feel.
you know, both of you negotiate.
Hey,
Both of you talking. So look,
He's gonna give us another quote.
Nah, don't quote here. The crazy thing is this: like, if you're in sales,
Yeah.
I mean, you ask the people can answer that with a number. Like, not knowing, not being skilled, has cost. I mean, six figures, if not. Like
You can answer with anything, but it's that moment, that look, or that awkward position, or that awkward stage where, like, you know what, they know I don't know it. Like, they know I don't know it because ultimately it was a surprise question because I wasn't skilled enough to know my information.
Yep.
And so that that awkward position was like, that's where they have that, maybe this is not the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's.
I could have said any number, and they might have went with it.
But that slight hesitation.
Because it caught me off guard, and it was like, oh man, like when I started again, I've never heard that question as well.
Yeah.
So like, it was like that. I froze, and it's human nature in that sense when you're confronted with something that you're not normally comfortable with and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can BS it, whatnot, but like there'll be a time where that awkward situation where like they know and I know what just happened.
Yeah.
And like,
well, hey, I think of a good one. Back in my nonprofit days,
damn,
right?
Malcolm will say something.
Were you about to say something?
No.
You sure?
No.
I mean, I don't want to cut you off, man.
Nah, you're good.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Let him-
Mal, go ahead.
No. I was just
wait.
talking about the cost of not being skilled.
I'm just gonna give you time to think about it.
Go ahead.
You
Go
good?
ahead.
You
Yeah,
sure?
you're good.
Malcolm likes
to
think.
I got plenty of time.
He likes to
talk.
think. He likes to talk, and he likes to.
Go ahead, Malcolm. I'm not gonna. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, dude.
No, I really don't have anything. I mean,
But
but
no, God, seriously, come on, let him go.
You
if
said all-
I
you
did,
said all
I
that?
would have cut you off.
You said all that. You don't have anything.
No,
What'd you say?
The big thing
There
is
you go.
the big thing is, hey, when you guys are talking, I'm thinking about ask yourself the cost of not being skilled.
Exactly. Exactly. No.
I'm not, because I wasn't talking about what happens in the moment. What happens in the moment is
Yeah.
That was good.
you lose confidence.
That was good.
Yeah.
And
You
what's
might
the
lose
key?
motivation.
Say that again. The cost
That's-
of what?
Time out. That's currency right there.
That is.
Confidence is currency.
It's
Ooh.
everything.
Remember that.
Oof.
Bro,
I'm telling
Say
you.
that
It's
again,
everything.
Claudio.
Confidence
Say that for people
is
in the back.
currency.
Oh, gosh.
He said
And,
for people in the back.
and all the people said, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Guys, it's everything. Yeah. It's everything.
Sorry, go ahead, Malcolm.
It's
I
okay.
got that from you, bro.
You know, hey, this right here.
Alan's turn. Go ahead, man.
He's not
No,
done
but-
yet.
You're not done.
You're not done.
No,
Oh my
no.
gosh.
Hey,
You're not-
hey,
Not done until he mentions
Yanni's at the
breath.
center for a reason.
Hey, real talk.
All right.
He's doing a lot of LeBron movements. If y'all on YouTube watching this, is the camera on? And he did the
He did the LeBron.
like when he gets a foul called on him.
Hey,
He's like, oh my
and
God.
speaking of LeBron, have you guys seen his pictograph? Do you remember what?
Was a pictogram?
Is that what it's
Let
called?
Malcolm finish.
Like his
thing,
emoji.
bro.
His emoji. He looks just like LeBron.
Oh,
His
yeah, that's
emoji
true.
looks just like LeBron, man.
That's true.
Like
That's
his-
why he grew the beard. But go ahead.
Go, Mal. Go.
It's your go.
No, bro,
He's
go.
finished. Malcolm's
It's your
finished.
go.
Are you done?
Yeah, it's your go.
Tell us
Just-
that quote one more time.
He had the quote.
No, you said the cost of not being what?
That's not a quote. It wasn't a quote. I was saying consider the cost of not being skilled.
There you
And what
go.
was the quote
I-
after that?
He said because motivation is something that you might lose.
There
And
you
you
go.
said currency is what?
Confidence is currency.
Confidence is currency.
There it is.
Right, yeah. So,
I like it.
Alan,
like it.
come on, let's move on to you.
All right. For me, hey,
because you definitely had something.
no, I had something, but then you just, I felt bad for cutting you off.
You know what? You gotta be prepared, man, because Yanni will throw this thing off
Yanni will
in,
throw
in a
it
number
at
of ways. So
He's skilled at that.
he will for sure make you lose your
I was
mind.
writing. He just like. Blah, 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 blah.
Yanni was making sure he's prepared.
Yeah.
That's his
Hey,
skill.
that's
Always
good. That's
be
another
prepared.
Hey,
skill set.
listen, that's his
Taking
skill.
notes.
As you can see here, my man Claudio and Malcolm with the notes, man. That's good, man. That's a skill. That's a skill set.
Actively
here-
listening.
Here's what I would say. For me, an example that really resonates is back in my nonprofit organization.
Oh man.
NGO world.
NGO
right?
world.
What does that stand for, Claude?
Good. Just keep telling the story. They're waiting on the story, bro. Come on. That's the story, man. The
Let's go.
Sorry, guys.
Let's go.
He's trying to think of the story. Hold on.
No, I'm not.
Go ahead, sir.
Hey,
Yo,
Come on,
He
tell
forgot
the
the story. Yeah.
my job is to keep everybody on board so we can wrap this up. It's time to do it.
he said I quit.
Guys, I apologize right now. We got a commercial coming up soon.
Alright.
NGL story, please.
Claudia, my bad. Alright, so.
Don't surprise Claudia. You know that. That's a rule. We talked about this
My bad.
pre-production meeting.
My
Don't
bad.
surprise Claudia with
My
the
I
All right,
apologize.
go ahead, man.
Alright,
Yeah,
so,
Claudia, you're good.
in my NGO world, right, which means non-government organizations.
Okay,
okay?
relax.
You got that right.
I'm writing that down so nobody
Please.
forgets again.
So,
You should write that down.
I got it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I was involved with a lot of colleges and universities. And one of these universities that I was going into to try to get them to buy into our business was slightly struggling in their business department, right? So I had a little inside scoop on that because I knew that going into the meeting. But how did I know that going into the meeting? Because I was able to connect with some of the students that were there. Trying to figure out, hey, what's something that held you back? What's something that you would give advice on? But to Claudia's point, doing all my research ahead of time,
Asking
right?
the right questions.
Asking all the right questions, being very impactful, right? With my questions, what we discovered is the enrollment on the business department was a little down, right? So by going into this meeting with the dean, I was prepared for that question that was inevitably going to come, right? Hey, well, great, this, that, and the other. But hey, our business development our business department is not as strong as it used to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was prepared. I was waiting for the question, right? So we went into this meeting, did my spew, did my whole pitch, and long and behold, he comes in. He goes, "Hey, you know what? That sounds great. If this was 3, 4, 5 years ago, where our focus on our business department was really strong." So that's when I came in, and I was just like, "Hey, look, I understand that. I know that historically, this is what you've been doing." You're projected to, obviously have these kind of results with moving forward with us as an organization. Here's what I can already tell you about your students. When I went in with all that information, right, and being able to really truly connect on his personal level, because this is how he was being evaluated as a dean, right? Hey, how are you going to grow the business department? Knowing that information, hey, that got us not only that university, but the other universities that were connected to that.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I felt like that was a great example of taking the skill set that you already had, which is connecting, and being able to be resourceful with it by asking all the right questions. Impactful questions, that is.
Yeah.
So hey, that's an example that really came to mind when it comes to like really owning your craft at the end of the day.
So we'll keep moving. Again, we want to make things, obviously, this podcast, we want to make sure it's not as lengthy, but fill in. But we could sit here and talk for hours about this.
Yes,
But we want to make sure we're, again, keeping it very as short as possible in that sense to make sure you can fit it in your day. Let's talk about advice, recommendations, right? So like, how do you go about being skilled in whatever industry that you are in, whatever job in your personal life, whatever? How do you go about? What's recommendations you can give to focus on the being skilled? How do you go about that in your own personal life, in your own career process? Clyde, can I start with you?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be a student of the game. No matter what level you get, you're constantly learning and improving. From reading books to, listening to podcasts like this right now. You constantly have to keep feeding yourself more knowledge, as Alan mentioned. And at the end of the day, it's incorporating traditional and modern sales at the same time. In this age, we have to take advantage of the tools we have.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? And once we do that, that's how you become more skilled. No matter what level of sales you're at, that's how you get to the next
Clyde,
level.
can I ask you this? Specifically you, right? In your industry, what do you do, whether it be daily, weekly, to make sure that you're skilled?
Oh man, so there's several. I mean, a lot of things that I do is I like to read books.
Yeah.
So there's one that I'm reading that's not Grant Cardone. It's
Don't stop.
Don't do
Stop.
that.
No,
Malcolm,
That's
don't.
Malcolm.
What's the topic on?
it's called combo prospecting.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things that that it confirmed as in the book is it teaches you ways to be impactful with your prospecting, but incorporating social selling at the same time, which is what I've been doing, which is confirming that I am on the right path. But I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't reading it, and I learned some more insightful things with that. But that's one of the things you gain as as you're in different levels. You have to keep refueling yourself with knowledge. Simple. Just like basketball, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, they're constantly working on their craft, and that's what you have to do on a daily basis. Give yourself targets, goals, and have a plan.
And it's so easy, like, because you can relate, like, being skilled to, like, the athletic world, because it's, like, you see, like, it's easier to kind of comprehend. Like, when you're in the athletic world, you got to make sure you're in the gym, either working out or shooting. It's the same thing in life and what you're doing in your business. Like, you literally, and I'll go into my advice and recommendations. I remember at the time, and Malcolm, you'll love this, because, part of it was, I talked about the lack of skill in my example, right? One of the things I did that was, I think it was not Grant Cardone's book. Shout out to Uncle G, right?
Uncle G, nothing wrong with Uncle G.
So no, absolutely no. And the great thing about it is there's a lot of amazing trainers out there, including us. But there's a lot of amazing. Like, you could, everybody's their skill set, and they're everybody. So it's great to do that. But the book of the closing is it the
Closer Survival Guide.
The Closer Survival Guide. It was amazing because it would give you the actual script of handling objections, and I took that. I was reading that. I was listening to that as my way of work, and that was exactly what I needed when I sat down in front of somebody and somebody would give me an objection. I knew how to handle that. Those are the things I was listening to. So you have to be proactive in what you're doing, in the sense of, whether it be, for me, it was like listening to that, picking up actual like script books of how to handle objections. So whatever you're dealing with in your industry of the top objections, you got to find a way to handle those objections in actual scripts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, that was great for me, because that book was just all about going through it was like, how many objections? It was like 100 and some change.
I mean,
But like, it was like, he would say this, and then this is what the objection would have. So I would take it. Some would apply to my industry, some will not. And so I would take that, and then I would use that, apply it to my industry, and that's how I got through some of the challenges of sitting down with somebody for a listing appointment. Yeah. So that was big. Anything that you want to?
I mean, my advice would be, start training, right? Start training on what you're trying to master, right? And to your point, there's four components to like the most effective training. You've got to have good content. So if the content can come in a book, can come on a podcast, can come online, you've got to take in good content. Once you have that content, you've got to have a level of repetition.
Practice.
Right? Which is practice. But doing it over and over, the practice will go right in line with drilling and rehearsing it.
Yeah. Right?
You got to pick somebody out. Whether it's a family member or a significant other, it doesn't matter. Because you've got anything good, anything worth doing is worth doing every day. I'm a firm believer, right?
So like that part right there, I think some people lose the sight of, like, if you wanted to be a great basketball player, right, you would go and put up shots. If you wanted to be a great closer, a great salesman, anything like that, you have to like practice what you're gonna say. You gotta practice the situation. You've got to create it. And I think we lose sight of that when it comes to that.
You've got to create the moment before it actually happens.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that goes back to being prepared. If you really want to take it to the next level, just look at, the late Kobe, man. When you hit the story, because you tied it into something, he said, hey, if my goal was to be the best basketball player, and that was my sole job, I'm just gonna shrink time. Like I'm not gonna try to manage time. I'm gonna create it.
Yep.
So you've got to put like the time thing is something everyone has control over, and it just plays to how bad you really want, or how good you really want to get. And then the fourth component is you got to have accountability, right? Because if nobody's holding you accountable to the goals that you're putting in front of you, or the level of skill you want to get to, then it's going to be easy to quit, right? Because if you let yourself down, nobody else is going to know. So it goes back to training. And I think the skill set is probably the biggest one that everyone can measure. Right? And it's exciting because regardless of where anybody's at right now, you can absolutely become better at whatever you're trying to get to.
And I think just to close it out here, I would tell you everything that everybody was just saying right now to what we do every single day can be narrowed down to habits, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about what is your habit, what is your routine, what is something that you do every single day without thinking about it. So, hey, shout out to Yanni for this, but he recommended this one book called Atomic Habits. Unbelievable read, right?
What's the book?
Atomic Habits.
James
right?
Clear.
James Clear.
We should do an episode on books recommended.
I think we should. We definitely would. But hey, that book right there tells you how to find the microscopic details and how to create habits. Because at the end of the day, if it becomes a habit, it's natural. It's every day. The training comes natural. The being able to find the right content becomes natural. Every aspect of what was discussed here, it becomes your identity, right? It becomes your identity and your brand. And so for us, at the end of the day, I think for me, my recommendation to our listeners and our viewers out there is, hey, create the habits, right? And how you create those habits is being able to, when you create those habits, is how you're going to end up becoming successful, right? So, that's that.
That book, like Habits, like I said this today. I'm convinced is what creates successful people versus not. I promise to you, like creating those habits. So, we're definitely excited. Like we just went through the mantra, right?
Can we ask them what they want to hear too on when it comes to sales?
Like, absolutely.
Give us some feedback. Where can they find us at?
For sure. Hey, for sure, man. Give us your reviews. Give us your feedback. We're on all platforms.
All platforms.
So wherever you're seeing us, wherever you're listening to us, provide us your feedback. Let us know what your thoughts are as far as what you've heard so far. If you have any recommendation, spill the beans. Let us know.
We'd love to know what you're feeling, what we can do better, what you want us to talk about, all of that. And Clyde, what are some of the topics that you think or what you're excited about as we go along? Because we just went through the mantra in a sense. Now we're getting to the actual meat of the whole
the
podcast.
Meat and the potatoes. I mean, we get to the real content that people want to hear. Rather it's prospecting, coming over objections, rather it's negotiating, there's so many aspects. It's all fun because at the end of the day, this also gives us a chance, like you said, iron sharpens iron. You get what I mean? And have different perspectives on ways people get skilled. Some might be early risers. Some may be night owls and work hard. But at the end of the day, everybody has the same 24 hours.
100%.
You get what I mean? And that's something that with this podcast, I want you to feel that you have the opportunity to hear from 4 different perspectives. That's the 4 Horsemen. And we're going to give you the real knowledge uncut, and we're excited to give it to you.
Not to mention, not just are they going to hear from us, man. I mean, we're telling them what we're doing with it too, man. And we're going to...
the training programs and
training programs.
So it'll it's going to grow. It's going to branch out. But, training is important to us. Like I said, now we're going to get into the skill set. You've heard about us. You've heard about what our mantra means. Now it's really content, and again, content for everybody that you can use, and really like the meat and potatoes, like Claudio said. And so I'm excited, and everybody has different, like I said, specialties and expertise and whatnot, and how to build. I think for me is how to build motivation every single day when things are not going right, when things are going right, because both could be a negative in the sense of when things are going good, when things are going bad, in the sense of that. So
just to piggyback, I can't wait to hear these guys talk about how to get somebody from a negative standpoint, like they're angry, they don't want to be somewhere that they're at, and how they turn that into a positive. Guys, that's just another skill in itself.
And hey, another thing you guys can absolutely look forward to is, speaking of perspectives, we look forward to having some guests on here to share their perspectives on there. So
we're bringing it all out today.
You never know who's going to come and play here.
We got some successful.
Can you get Brad on this, Malcolm?
Don't.
Listen,
listen, Rocco will pass out.
Hey,
Hey,
can you
But
get
listen,
me out here?
all right, listen.
where's Malcolm on the episode? He's passed out.
We gotta keep this short. We gotta get. Listen, guys. Hey, thank you for joining us right now. Again, we're on all our platforms. Make sure you listen to us, subscribe, and
Should we say it all together?
What's that?
What's that? The Four Horsemen of Sales?
Yeah.
What's it? One, two, three.
The
Four
Four
Horsemen of Sales. We'll see you next episode, guys.
All right.
That was like 2 ago. Both of y'all. Me and myself, first time like
Time, yo, man.
I was like,
I was thinking this shit.
Yanni,